Lesleigh Wallace, thank you for joining me today on the More Than Your Age podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Truly honored to be here with you.
Yes, well, I appreciate the connection from our mutual friend Laura. She shared with me a glimpse of your story, and then you and I
Yes.
spoke, and then I
Yes.
listened to you on the episode of the Single Ladies Pop Off from the girls podcast, and I was
Yes.
like, yes, she gets it. She is more than her age. So let's get on with this. I was
Let's
so
do it.
excited. I loved it. Okay, so to start us off, by trade, you were a pharmacist for a good portion of your career. So did you,
Yes.
remind me, did you have your own pharmacy? Were you working in a
Oh
commercial
no.
pharmacy?
No, 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 no. Definitely still in pharmacy, like a pharmacist. Definitely still keep my licenses active. But 15 years? I graduated in 2007. So wait, no, that's longer now. So yes, 15 plus years in the profession, myriad of roles, mainly ambulatory outpatient. I loved the one-on-one engagement, interaction with patients. I did do retail for a little bit as well, but my heart was definitely in clinical outpatient roles.
What? Okay, this I don't know too many pharmacists. So if the
Okay.
question I'm asking you is kind of dumb, just there are dumb
No,
questions. So you
no
get
dumb questions.
yeah. I used to be a teacher, and I like when I had a little student. This is a segue or side note. I had a student. She asked me. I taught Spanish, so she was like, can we are we learn cuss words in Spanish?" And I was like, I said to the class, "There are no dumb questions."
Right.
Anyway,
But
okay. Yes, but back to your story, Leslie. Okay,
yes.
so as a pharmacist, is there a drug that I mean, like, was there one that was like more fun to develop, to make, or to?
Mm, that's a good question that I've never received. So there is like there are compounding pharmacists, right? There are some like specialty pharmacies where you can go and get specialty products that are made specifically for you or whatever ailment that you may be treating. So that was fun, but it really wasn't a passion of mine. I definitely did that on a rotation my last year of school. I would say out of all my roles, I had the honor of leading the warfarin clinic. This is a blood thinner. It's really old, and it has to be monitored quite frequently. And I had the opportunity to have a collaborative practice agreement with several physicians, meaning I was able to adjust the dosing on my own. So, kind of prescribe. A lot of people don't know pharmacists don't have prescriptive authority, meaning none of your pharmacists are going to just have a prescription pad and be able to write what you need like a physician can. But with a collaborative practice agreement, we have the opportunity to adjust dosing based upon guidelines. And I just loved, again, the interaction with patients, the counseling that comes with warfarin. It's a very complicated medication, but that was one role that I really, really enjoyed doing just because of the care that has to accompany that medication and the frequency of seeing patients. If you're stable, I could see you like once a month. But if you're just starting, I could see the same patient like maybe twice a week. And so just developing the rapport, catching up, just, being that front line support is what I really enjoyed.
Wow, that's so interesting. I don't normally think, like I said, I don't know too many pharmacists. I don't normally think of a pharmacist as somebody who gets to know the patients and,
Oh,
develop
absolutely.
a rapport. That's really neat. That's cool. But I
Yeah.
guess it does make
Yeah.
sense if they're coming frequently to
Yes.
visit you and to see you.
Yes.
So, okay, so your plan was to be a career pharmacist, but
Yes.
you had a quick stint working in ministry
Yes.
before now. But so how did that come to be, and why at the time were you open to something different?
Yes. Well, initially I wasn't actually. Initially I said no. I had ironically just started at the clinic. An opportunity presented itself, and I was like, oh, I can't leave my patients now. Right. And then also imposter syndrome set in. It's like, no, but I'm a pharmacist. Like, this is what I know. This is what I do. I'm not trained in ministry. I know drugs. I know what to do there. There's no like rule book with ministry. But then I it was just really the Lord pursuing my heart and then continuing my amazing pastors continuing to be patient with me as I navigated what they clearly saw and what I didn't yet see. And so it's really just a God story. If you had given me, $10 million, bet me $10 million 10 years ago and said, "Hey, you'll be working in ministry," I would have been like, "Absolutely not. You're crazy. Where is this even coming from?" So definitely, I've outlived my 5, 10 year plan. At this point, I'm just riding the wave. I'm riding the wave.
So, okay, so you said the pastors, they saw something in you. So
Yes.
when the first time someone approached you, what did they say? What was it that made them say, "All right, Lesleigh." I mean, obviously, yes, God had this in line for you, but what did they say that
Mhm.
was like, "No, Lesleigh, this we see this in you."
Right. Just speaking to my organization ability to take things and put them in order, if you will. That was definitely something, my heart to serve. I've been a part of a beautiful ministry almost since the very beginning, and we just turned, I think, 12 or 13 years old. And so I was there from our like second service. And so I've had the opportunity to just continue to watch it grow and the beauty and the growth of our church family. And I think just being there in the grind, the hustle, someone can walk in now and see it's all shiny and beautiful. But I was there when we were like, had budgets of $200, or, you're setting up in one place and then you're serving in another one and then you're helping to tear down, a few hours later. So I was there with a part of that, a part of all of that. And I just think my heart to serve was what was paramount in those moments. So
Mm.
I'm still in awe, to be honest with you. Like, there are definitely still some days that I look up around tables and conversations that I'm in, and I'm like, okay, you're here, but you're not here. But why are you here? And are you contributing anything? And it's like, okay, Lesleigh, focus. You've been called. Like, let's do this. Let's run. But definitely, just like I said, I'm riding the wave. I'm riding the wave.
Okay, so during COVID, you told me you worked in a pharmacy, and then you
Yes.
received this call to go back to ministry. So
Yes.
you were doing kind of both for a little bit,
Yes.
and then you
Yes.
received this call to go back to ministry full time. The first
Yes.
time you said no. This also time you initially said no. So why did you say no?
Yes, I was hesitant because I didn't want to simply leave because there was an option to do so. I was not happy in the pharmacy role that I was in currently. I went into it thinking that there would be tons of opportunity for growth and that I could kind of create a role, a more clinical role. It was with a startup company that was new to Dallas. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Get in, ground floor, work really hard, share what my passions are with the hope of bridging a happy medium with the company and what I was passionate about. But we had a visit from a higher up, and I asked about the future of the pharmacist position with this company, and he kind of hesitated and didn't really have an answer. And I was like, oh, okay, so there isn't really one. This is kind of all there would be to this role. So at that point, I knew that I wanted to leave, needed to leave, but wasn't sure what or how. Fast forward a few weeks, I get that phone call. And again, hesitant because I didn't just want to say yes because I was unhappy. I wanted it to be right. I wanted to make sure that I was within God's will and that there was a future in what I was going to, and not just like easy escape plan, right? I wasn't looking for that by any means. And it took several months for before we were finally able to meet up and have had the conversation.
Wow. So during those several months when you're waiting to decide that if this that you're not just running away from something so that
Hmm.
can easy out. And how did you prepare yourself to make the final decision? How did you know that yes, this is the path that I need to actually take?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely prayed a lot. I sat with staying, I sat with leaving. And honestly, when I went into the meeting, I still didn't have an answer. And I gave myself a pep talk in the car before I went in. I was like, okay, Lesleigh, I had my notebook full of questions. And I said, okay, you're here just to receive, ask your questions, and then prayerfully after the meeting, you'll be enlightened with an answer. And it was truly, 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 I can say this has never happened to me before this meeting, and dare I say, not since either. That I was there and we were talking. I'm kind of avoiding the elephant in the room initially, and then finally we got down to the specifics, to the details, like, okay, we really want this to happen. I cannot recall what the conversation was in the moment, but I definitely interrupted my lead pastor and just said yes. Like, yes, just came out of my
Wow.
mouth. I was shocked. They were shocked as well. And it was kind of one of those time frames where you would like want to take a time out, like, oh, well, like time out, let's rewind, like on a TV show. But it was real life and you couldn't really do that. And then they both looked at me and I was looking at them and they were like, so it's a yes? And I was like, yes? Because it wasn't me who said yes. And so we kind of continue the conversation, talk through some specifics. I was asked to continue to pray about it, and I did. Kept asking for confirmation after confirmation after confirmation, how we do, even after we get it the first time, it's like, well, can you confirm the first one? Just to like make sure, confirm the first confirmation.
Yeah.
And I kept getting the confirmations for sure. And finally it was like, okay, Leslie, stop fighting it, stop looking. You have the answer. Just step fully into this. So, and here I am.
Here you are. What were some of
5 years later.
Wow. What were some of the other confirmed confirmations?
Yes. So outside of, the lack of growth in my current role, there was movement within the organization that I wasn't aware of initially, that I felt not an obligation, but a responsibility to step into. And then the question, like, why not you? Just kept like resonating with me. Like, no, you've been equipped. Sure, you may not feel like it, but you can grow into this. You can figure it out. And so that's just kind of what I kept hearing and kept seeing in all of that. Like, no, you absolutely can.
So you did it. So 5 years later, you're the operations director, yes, of a very large church in Dallas. So you wear lots of hats. You're at HR admin, you're over finance, facilities, I'm sure a ton more. So the skills for a pharmacist compared to one in ministry on the outside could seem slightly off.
Yes.
And so I'm curious to know, how did you navigate the transition away from this career that you had so long? You went to school for training for that. You spent all this time. How did you navigate that given the skills that you're specialized in?
Yes, absolutely. I would say, I don't want to say with ease, but because I had been a part of the organization for so long, knowing the heart, the vision, the culture of our house, I wouldn't say that it came easily, but I took that and just paired with being in a leadership role. When you're in the pharmacy, like, the buck stops with you, right? Everything is ultimately your responsibility, not the tech, not the cashier. You are the one who is ultimately responsible. So in the role that I stepped into, very similarly, like, ultimately the buck stops with me. Yes, I have colleagues, but ultimately I am the one responsible. So I have to kind of inspect what I expect. I need to make sure T's are crossed, I's are dotted. So taking that weight, bearing that weight, carrying it with that level of responsibility I was already accustomed to. Had a beautiful have a beautiful mentor that I was able to, and still am able to, look to and say, okay, this has been presented. This is how I would respond, or what I would say, or what I would do. Am I on track here? And after so many instances of that, just learning and growing, and then becoming more comfortable and confident in the manner in which I would respond or execute certain tasks. And so, again, I don't want to say that it comes with ease now, but I'm definitely more comfortable and confident in my role and how I'm able to execute with what I'm responsible for.
Yeah, that's great. So through this time, you're learning, you're growing, becoming more confident in your task and what you're doing. I'm curious to know too, when you knew the answer was yes to make this decision. But at the same time, you had this identity, right, of a
Yes.
pharmacist for X amount of years,
Yes.
and then now you're no longer that. Although, you did mention, have my
Still
credentials. I
licensed.
still
Yes.
license. I've got all
Yes.
that, everybody. We need to know
Yes.
this. But at the same time, too, it's, you know, I felt that when I left teaching, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm no, this
Hmm.
is not my title anymore. And so your
Right.
title no longer was a pharmacist. How much of your identity was in that title? And then what was the struggle like going through that?
Right. Absolutely. I would say minimal, right? So when you graduate from pharmacy school, you're considered a doctor of pharmacy, right? And so I would have friends shortly after we graduated. We were out at dinner, and the waiter came back to the table and they were handing out everyone's credit cards because, hashtag split checks. And they were like, Dr. whomever and Dr. whomever. And I'm like, how do they know this? Like, why do they know? And they're like, oh, I put it on my debit card. And I'm like, why? Like, that's so, like, pharmacy, I would always say pharmacy is what I do. It's not who I am. So from the very beginning, that was like my heart's posture. So it was more so not my identity wrapped up in it, but grieving what I thought my future would look like.
Mm.
I imagined that I would be, the head of a pharmacy department running a hospital system. And so I've had brief stints at different hospital systems here within the Dallas area. And sometimes still I'll drive by and there's like that little, that zing in my spirit, like, oh, what could have been. But just again, trusting in I'm right where I'm supposed to be right now. And it's like, okay, that's just not the life that God had for me. And that's not to say, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, I pick up a PRN role and I'm just, having to sit down and fill prescriptions because of my age. But I am without a doubt where I'm supposed to be. And I'm fully, fully confident in that.
Yeah, that's good. How long do you feel like it took you? You said you grieved this career that you
Hmm.
thought you would have, even though you knew you were where you were supposed to be. So how long do you feel like it took you, or, like you said, sometimes you'll still drive past it. So maybe
Yeah,
it's occasionally here and there, but how long do you feel like that grieving process took you?
I would say probably a good year.
Mm.
A good year. Again, it's just like, oh, you dream out this life that you have. Pharmacy school for me was 6 years total, and I did a residency, so 7 years of training. And so to just, I don't want to say give that up, but to not operate in that on a consistent basis, to still have the student loans to to prove it, it's very real. It's very tangible. My family didn't initially understand either about why would you invest all this time, energy, effort, finances into this career for you to walk away from it. But again, it's not really for me to understand or for them to understand. So it was just something that I had to accept and walk fully into. And it took a while.
You were talking about your family. You were saying something so good. You were talking about your family. I have a
Oh,
question based off of that.
yeah,
So
sure.
I'll splice,
Okay,
and
sure.
if not, or we'll just include this part in it and we'll just
Sure.
say, hey guys, Lesleigh got cut out.
No worries, no worries.
So, Lesleigh, you had mentioned that your family said, you put all this career, the schooling into it and this time into it. Did though, at first they weren't on board, but now they are. At first, was that really hard for you too, while you were in that transition as well? Or kind of how did you work through, whether it was out of love or, how did you work through just hearing comments of, why would you waste your time? You're,
Right.
doing all this and you're not even having that career. Or maybe it was like internal too.
Yes, I wouldn't say this is the best way to handle it, but I initially concealed it. I wasn't just forthcoming with what I was doing. My mom would always do my taxes. And so the first year that I worked in full-time ministry, I did my taxes myself, and then I just did them continuously. I told like one person in my family, and this is just the person that you don't really tell things. And I thought I prefaced it well with, please keep this to yourself. Well, she shares everything with her mother, but she didn't tell her mother that I didn't tell my mom. And so then she went and asked my mom, oh, how's Lesleigh enjoying working at the church? And so that set off a whole cascade of events. But finally, there was some misunderstanding. And I just basically had a conversation of, I need you to trust me. Trust that you have raised me in a way to make my own decisions. And should I make the wrong one, I can figure out how to course correct. And I'm like, hey, everything's fine. I'm okay. It was mainly from the vantage point of, will you be able to take care of yourself? Are you going to be okay? Because my mom was of that generation where you go to that one job and you stay there for 30 plus years. The company takes care of you, and therefore you serve and you honor the same company, which is awesome and amazing for that generation, but it's just not that way anymore, you know? And so that was something that we definitely didn't see eye to eye on for a while, but finally got to a place of peace in that area for sure.
Yeah, that's good. And a lesson learned to not to hide that information.
Yes, don't just be forthcoming, just be open.
I think that's funny.
Yes.
Okay, well, so speaking of identity, we're going to do a switch to the second area of your life that shows that you are a woman who is more than your age and you are more than a life circumstance. You are 42 years old.
I am.
And you told me you've never dated.
Never dated.
No relationships.
None. Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, that's a heavy question. I don't even know if I've even thought of.
we can go there. We don't have to.
No, it's fine. Why do I think that is? I don't have an answer for that, but I will say I don't want to sound like high and mighty, but definitely unicorn, right? And so there aren't tons of unicorns, and so it oftentimes will take another unicorn, and perhaps that's the reason for the wait. So yeah, I've just tried my best to take advantage of the time that I've been given, for sure.
Yeah, when I listen to you and your friend speak on the podcast, I forget your friend's name.
Yes, Crystal.
Crystal.
Yes.
Hey, Crystal, if you're hearing this. I enjoyed you too. So something in the podcast that you mentioned, you said that singleness is a gift. And I agree with you as well. I feel like I have heard many women say that people say singleness is a gift as a quote unquote easy way out to make single people feel better about themselves. You said when someone receives a gift, they don't just leave it on the table. You use it. And so and I loved what you said with that. How can you respond?
Wow, okay. That's
you
awesome.
did, or Crystal? I'm pretty sure it was you.
Okay.
I was learning. I was deciphering voices, but I'm pretty sure it
Crystal's
was you.
Very wise as well. But if I did or she did, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, one of you said it. I'm almost 100% sure it was you.
That's awesome. Like, wow. Okay.
But I would love to know, how can you respond to the negativity around the viewpoint that singleness is a gift? And then I'm curious to know how you have utilized this gift. So kind of two-part.
Absolutely. Wow. What an honor it is that we get to live the lives that we've been blessed with, right? We were created on purpose with a purpose. That is like point blank period foundation. That has absolutely nothing to do with our marital status. So why not utilize it? Why not become the best version of yourself? Not to sound cliche. I've heard it like this: using your life as if you're writing a book with the hope that should you be blessed with someone, that they have some pages to read. And it's not like you're just showing up with empty pages, blank pages. What do you do with a blank page book, right? And so that's truly, truly how I have desired to live, to write those pages, several chapters. And I just would say, just don't slam the gift that you've been given. You have, the fact of the matter is, you have to be ready for the even if he doesn't, right?
Yeah.
There is that very real possibility that even if he doesn't, and to not live a life waiting for something or someone that very well may not be a part of your story. So why not capitalize on what you've been given? You love to go out to eat? Go out to eat. You love flowers? Go to Trader Joe's Central Market, make you a beautiful bouquet, have your flowers. You love to travel? Book the trip. Like, whatever it is that you desire to do, I would just encourage women to do that thing, because why not? Like, why not?
Yeah, I'm all about that too. I love that you said that, and that's how you're living your life. I'm curious to know, tell me about some of these pages that are in this book that if someone comes along, they can read them. And if not, like you said, you're not guaranteed that, it's not promised, but you're still going to live a fulfilled life. So tell us about some of these blank pages that aren't blank.
Yes, absolutely. So I mentioned travel, love to travel. I will take a trip quick, like with the quickness. I love getting away. I went to Bali with a friend several years ago. I've been to the Caribbean a few times solo and just had an amazing time exploring Mexico as well. I love taking sibling trips with my brother. There's a short time frame before we both will like, okay, we've had enough time together. Like, it's time to like get back to our respective lives, but I love doing that. So having the experience of, you know, different cultures, different places. I love visual and performance art. I'm a dancer. I grew up doing ballet, tap, modern, so being able to appreciate the theater. So I oftentimes, if I am aware of a show or the orchestra, I'll go to that, you know, get dressed up, treat myself to a nice dinner and head to the show and come home. I may even try to like make a weekend of it if it's out of town, like in Houston. A few years ago, Alvin Ailey was there, so went down and, you know, stayed in a hotel for the weekend and had a great time. So just having hobbies. Right now I'm in an ASL class. Yes. So doing that, just why? Because why not? Like I learned it was available. It was only like $100. I'm like, you can spare that, you know? So just bridging my horizons in different ways. So not, while I love to rot at home, that is very much something I look forward to every weekend, but getting out and experiencing new things, finding hobbies and things that I enjoy doing, for sure are a priority for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you'll book a trip by yourself. If there is something, like you said, if you go see a performance, an orchestra, whatever that may be, do you typically just book it and go by yourself? Or would you say, oh, I would prefer having like a friend or somebody go with me, or kind of all the above?
It just depends, truly. When I travel, I'm very spontaneous. Especially my birthday is one thing, like my friends get on to me all the time because I'll like wait until the last minute to plan, and they're like, why didn't you tell us ahead of time? And I'm like, well, ahead of time, I didn't know. And I feel terrible for asking you to invest in this, and it's going to be more because it's like last minute, you know? So I'll go by myself typically on trips. You have to be careful with who you travel with, right? And so I'm very mindful of that. And there are some instances, more often than not, that I do just kind of prefer to travel alone. So if there's a day that I just want to kind of chill out and do nothing, I can do that. Or if there's a day that I want to get out and be adventurous, then I'll do that. And I don't have to kind of worry about another person if they want to get up early at 7 o'clock or 5:30 to watch the sunrise, you know, whatever that looks like. So it really just depends on the mood, for sure.
Yeah. I love that you'll go, like, sometimes it's even like, hey, you're holding me back.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'll just go ahead and go.
Yeah. So in the conversation on the episode that I listened to, it was discussed, all you ladies discussed about choosing not to settle. And so what are ways that you see that women settle, and things that you're pursuing to avoid settling?
Yes. I have seen friends, acquaintances want the coupledom, want a family so badly that they will pursue something that truly, like, red flags just waving all over the place. And I am very much okay with the life that I'm building for myself. Just like you would like curate a space, curate your bedroom or your bathroom or your living room, whatever it may be. I am having fun and enjoying curating my life in a way that if someone were to come along, they would need to add to it. They would need to bring additional value, additional peace, and not weigh it down or change the environment in which I've created. And oftentimes what I see are women who, because they desire coupledom, they desire a husband, they desire companionship so badly, they're willing to sacrifice what they've curated. And I'm just at the point to where that price is too high for me, and one that I'm not willing to pay. I would rather be single than to have someone who is not adding to or disrupting what I have worked so hard to build. I'm just okay with that. I'm okay with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the confidence. I mean, it's so great. And I'm curious to know too, when you hang out with your friends of, let's say, similar age with you, and do they often talk about the negativities of getting older and like our body's aching or this or that, or is there a negativity with aging with people you're around? We don't want to, I guess, if they listen.
Older ladies? No, they're fine. They're fine. Not really. No. Of course, every once in a while they'll come in to be like, oh, I wish XYZ. But I would say we're just really, trying to have fun. Life happens, right? Family members get sick. And so we're kind of at that stage now where we all kind of have some things going on and are happening. And the desire or our status isn't really at the forefront of our brains because there's so many other things that take precedence over that right now. But it hasn't been extremely harped on as far as us aging. Some of them want children. And so that's very real, right? So there have been discussions about what that would look like or what medical interventions that we can take advantage of now to help with that. There isn't, amongst my friend group, thankfully, there isn't that negativity associated with our age and aging and coupled with our status.
That's great. That's very refreshing.
Yes.
And I feel like very, very different. So that's nice that you have that surrounding you as well.
Yes.
A lot of times we'll hear this, women won't start living, kind of you touch base on this too, they won't start living life without somebody until they have somebody. So they're just kind of sitting around and it's upsetting, and then it just perpetuates the problem. But you said you want to live for you, and you can, in the episode too, I believe, and you can invite someone to join you if that time comes.
Yes.
What do you do when it does get hard sometime and you do long for that companionship?
Whatever I'm longing for in that moment, I make sure that I am able to treat myself in that way. So going back to the dinners, I really wish, I could go out to have a nice dinner. Well, you can't do that. So I'll be like, okay, it's been a while. Let's go. Let's get dressed up. Let's go. Just ensuring that I'm not just harping on those thoughts, right? Is it something that I desire? Yes, absolutely. But it isn't anything that I can immediately change in and of my own strength. So again, not to sound cliche, but I pray about it and then I just let it go and I'm going to live my life. So if I want to go to the movies, sometimes it's better to go to the movies with friends or somebody else, but I'll go get my food, lean the seat all the way back, get comfy and enjoy my movie, whatever that looks like. So the things that I desire to do, I don't allow the fact that I'm doing them alone to stop me from doing them. And so I think that's oftentimes where people, women in particularly, get kind of hung up on. But I'm not going to allow that to stop me. I started going out doing things solo like in high school. I had a very small friend group even then. And was it awkward to go to a football game by myself? Absolutely. But it's something I've just continued to grow on and, okay, well, if I can do that, then I can go to a restaurant and then I can go do all these other things. And it's fun. It's something that I look forward to even after a hard week. It's like, no, we can do this. We can still live life as is.
I was going to ask you, why do you think, or how do you think you became to be the type of person who can do things by herself, who can, be content where you are in life, who has such a positive outlook, this confidence? where do you think that came from? I mean, high school, you said you went to football games by yourself. So I'm just so curious to know, how do you think that kind of came to be?
Yeah, I would definitely say my upbringing for sure. My grandmother, my mother, both extremely confident women and didn't allow or let anything stop them from pursuing what they desired. I would definitely say I'm kind of the wild card of the bunch in my family, right? They didn't love me traveling alone or doing things that they would consider quote unquote dangerous solo. But I didn't let that stop me. I would definitely say a lot of it comes from just my upbringing and then just the word of God, being confident in who I am, knowing that I'm loved, I'm chosen, I'm called, really taking a hold of that and working and operating in that has truly just been the grounding force for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously for listeners, Lesleigh works for a church, so you're in ministry and you have this relationship with God. So that is a guiding point, and that helps you for this confidence, for knowing who you are and where you are in your season. Some people get mad at God for not bringing a partner or a companion. They get mad at him for withholding something that could bring them so much joy. How do you respond to that?
I would say your feelings can be fickle, right? So you can be angry, but not sitting in that. Several years ago, my pastor did a message. I cannot remember the title of it, but there was a scripture that he mentioned that I'd heard growing up. I've heard it year after year after year, was familiar with it. My God will supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory in heaven. Oftentimes we think about like tangible things, right, when we hear that scripture. But in the moment that message was being delivered, I, for whatever reason, connected or it resonated with me about my single status and having my person. And he basically said, if you don't have it, it must mean that you don't need it. I want that, yes. But my God will supply he will supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory in heaven. And so I've just kind of held on to that ever since then, that if I needed it, I would have it. I would have it. So for me, for right now, in the seasons that I've been in, would it have been lovely to have had my person accompany me and walk with me through times of grief? Absolutely. But for whatever reason, God deemed it not necessary for me to have that in that moment. Have there been moments of frustration and sadness in that? Like, oh my goodness, God, why would you allow me to walk through this without having someone? Yes, I'm a person, I'm human. Those thoughts do happen. I don't want to sit here and, make it sound like, everything's always, peaches and roses and tulip fields. That's not the case, but there is a reassurance and a confidence in knowing that whatever it is that I need, he will provide and has supplied for me in those moments. And so it's just leaning on that, truly.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. I'm going to jot that verse down too, because I think that's very applicable and necessary in a lot of, everyone's different situations and seasons. I love that. I'd love to hear you say to I guess I'll wrap up with I have a question I usually ask everybody, but before that, I would love for you to just speak to the woman who is in the exact same boat as you, early 40s, not married, but doesn't have that joy that you have in the Lord. Maybe she knows the Lord, maybe she doesn't, and is just really upset with where she is. I didn't prep you for this. Sorry,
no, it's all
Lesleigh,
good.
But
it's all good.
I'd love to hear you say just something that, in addition to what you've already said, could really encourage that woman specifically.
Yes, I would say live. I would just encourage you to live. Again, we have this one opportunity, this one life that we have been blessed with. Our circumstances, the way that you would want them to be, no. But can you change it to a certain degree? Yes. Please don't wallow in it. Don't surround yourself by others who will just sit and wallow as well. Find your people. Find the people who are living, who are thriving in whatever circumstance that they've been given, and model in a healthy way after that. Don't allow your checkbox on your W-2, W-4 to dictate how you live your life. Again, there's what pages are you writing? Again, nobody wants an empty book, empty pages. And so I would say go and proverbially write your book, live your life, do the things, pursue after the things that bring you joy. Prayerfully, hopefully, the Lord will bless you with someone. But in the event that he doesn't, at the end of the day, when you lay down to rest, can you say, you know what, I had an amazing day today? Or you know what, I'm really proud of myself for what I did today. That, I would say, is what matters. Because if you don't, when you think about it, if you definitely want someone, but have nothing to bring to the table, what are we doing? What's the point? What's the purpose? Are you coming to the table just to say, oh, I've been waiting for you, and then you have nothing to provide, So go out, pursue the things of God, pursue your passions, pursue those things that bring you joy, and prayerfully, hopefully, God will bring someone right alongside you that you look up and be like, oh, you enjoy the same things I do, or oh, we're running in the same direction, or oh, that revelation will happen in those moments. But if we're just sulking and in our singleness, or sulking or mad at, oh, it hasn't happened for me yet, that's not going to bring it. So just flip the script and go and run and do, enjoy, and live.
Yes, exactly. Okay, last question. Your answer would be very similar, but we were targeted specifically for the 40, or anyone really is single that's struggling with it. But last question, if you could encourage any other woman who feels blocked or limited to pursue a dream, so let's say she wants to become a pharmacist at whatever age, or leave that career to do something else. If you could encourage one woman who feels blocked or limited to pursue a dream or goal based on her age or a life circumstance, what else would you tell her?
I would say that is not a good enough excuse. I would say it's not good enough. I would say get up, do your recon, do your research, figure out what it is that you want so you can figure out how to get there. Find the people, do a healthy LinkedIn stalking, send the messages, connect with the woman that you see doing what you desire to do. Ask, step outside of yourself, ask them for coffee, ask if you can have a phone call so that you can set yourself up for what you want. I would say that if that's holding you back, then you really don't want it. I would say if you're not pursuing after it, then it really can't be that big a deal for you because you're not doing anything about it. And tough love, I'd say, well, you must be happy then where you currently are if you aren't doing anything to change your current circumstance or to change or pursue after the thing that you are wanting to do. I moved jobs probably an unhealthy number of times in pharmacy, but I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I've kind of mastered this, or I'm not enjoying this anymore, and it's weighing me down emotionally. This isn't healthy. So, okay, do I stay here and just operate like this? And the answer would always be no, because I don't like myself where I am right now. There were months where I couldn't move my neck from left to right because I was so stressed, carrying my stress in my shoulders. It's like, this isn't a way to live. And so then I would ask myself, okay, Lesleigh, so what are you going to do about it? And so that's when you get to that point of asking yourself, okay, so what are you going to do about it? So I guess maybe that's what I would ask or say to her. What are you going to do about it? Figure out what it is you're going to do about it, and then follow up with that action. Understand it may take some time. It's not going to happen like overnight. Have grace with yourself, but just be persistent with your dreams, your goals, and what you want to see in yourself and for yourself.
That was good. I liked how you said if you're not going to do anything about it, then you must be happy where you are.
You must be happy. You must be happy where you are.
Which we know you're not.
Which we know you're not. So do something. Do something.
Yeah. And a great advice, too, of finding a woman who's doing the thing that you want to do, who's just a little further ahead. Reach out to her. That's a great, tangible advice, too.
Absolutely.
Well, Lesleigh, this was so great. Thank you so much. I mean, I know we're... sometimes we have people who are promoting things. Do you have anything if you need people to reach out to you, check out the church? Anything
Absolutely. I would say if you're looking for a church in Dallas, Texas, Frisco, San Antonio, if you're in Guatemala, even Antigua, Guatemala City, or anywhere in the world, because we have an online campus as well, I would say Shoreline City. We are not a perfect church, but we are healthy. It is an amazing, beautiful place to find your people, your community. And we love people. So if you're like, oh, I kind of want some of what she's got, I would say so much of me has been cultivated in this healthy and beautiful environment. So not to promo, I don't want to sound like a walking billboard or like, advertisement. But I would say if you're even questioning about God, or you were a believer, used to go to church, but stopped, I would use this as my personal invitation. I welcome you to Shoreline City. Again, I'm in Dallas, but we have campuses all over the place. You can check us out online, on our Instagram, all the things. So
awesome. Great. We have that, put that in the show notes for people to check out if they're curious. And they can even look online if they're a little nervous at first to step foot in. And if you go to the Dallas location, look for Lesleigh. Well, Lesleigh Wallace, I appreciate you taking the time and joining me today. Your wisdom, your confidence, your perspective on life is just remarkable. I love it. I know it's going to encourage at least one, more than just one, but I know it's going to encourage at least just one person. So thank you for joining me today on the More Than Your Age podcast.
Yes, so honored. Thank you so much for having me.
If you were encouraged by today's episode, like and subscribe to this podcast, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. You can find me on all of the socials at More Than Your Age. Keep striving for your goals, live fully, and we'll catch you next time on the More Than Your Age podcast.